The Americans were quite keen, weren't they, for the show to stay at Greenham, to sort of display a sense of normality?
They were. They sort of tried to persuade us, but every which way we looked at it, there was just not the accommodation left. And the reality was the security guys would just not have been happy. I was thinking when we first went to Greenham, of course, it was just before the Ugandan Asians had left, because when the Ugandan Asians came over to the UK, Greenham was one of the lodging facilities that were set up.
It was.
Yeah.
And there was a lovely lady who came onto the team as a volunteer. I can see her face, I can't think of her name for the minute. Her son was involved as well, worked for Canon. And she led the team after the Ugandan Asians were rehoused in better accommodation in the big clean-up, just in time for us to move in with the volunteer team. Come on, Peter, what was her name?
Wasn't her name?
Pauline Bailey.
Pauline Bailey.
Pauline Bailey.
Right, yeah.
Her husband was helped out by the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund. No, she was helped out when her husband died by the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund, and she wanted to repay the debt.
Now, when you eventually moved to Fairford for the 85 show, wasn't it the case that Fairford was one of the places you'd been you'd looked at back in 72, 73 when the show was leaving North Weald and looking for a new home, but you were advised against at that stage because...
Yeah, well, lots of things were being looked at, weren't they? Because the 135s were going to go to Greenham, and so we looked at Fairford, and we were well received. I remember sitting in the headquarters building with a couple of generals and lots of other people, me completely out of my depth, having a discussion about, can we put an air show here? As it turned out, we didn't need to at that stage, but of course later on we did. So all the recce work that Paul and I had done was very helpful. We understood what Fairford would be like, broadly speaking.
We've mentioned Middle Wallop and we've mentioned Bournemouth briefly.
How about Cottesmore?
Yes, we've done. The show has, or the team has done several events at other places, going right back to Goodwood.
Yeah, of course, Goodwood in 72 and 73, just the volunteer team there. And that was a lot of fun. That really was. We all lived in the stable lads' quarters. And we put on quite a big show. We had starfighters at Goodwood trying to do opposition passes based on lines we had cut into farmers' fields.
Seeing that this Harrier, Cottesmore, was twice at Cottesmore.
Yes.
One of which was very, very cold, I remember.
And very dank.
And very dank, yeah.
There's an interesting story about looking at airfields, isn't there, before Cottesmore, because you were offered somewhere rather far distant, Prestwick.
We've been offered airfields all over the place.
Bristol?
We went out to our...
Oh, yes.
Bristol. Oh, yes, we did 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which ended up as the Newbury Air Festival.
The show that never happened.
Yeah.
That's right. And of course, when you go and look at an airfield, it's not just a matter of there's a runway and, there's some fuel and whatever else. There's so much more. How are you going to get the crowd in? How are you going to have a display area that's clear of crowd and all those sort of things? Oh yeah, we've looked at some interesting places. Yeah. Prestwick would have been nice. Lots of ramp space.
They offered themselves, didn't they? I seem to remember you telling me before it.
They did. The coach company that owned the place thought it would be a good thing to do. Stagecoach, that's right. But the catchment area was half sea, and we needed the catchment area to be 360 degrees.
Yeah.
Land, people.